Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday, the 6th of February. And I wanted to talk today about, I think, an important subject for all. As we talked at the beginning of the year, which is only, of course, a month ago, that in order for us to grow and prosper in our business, we need to have a strong focus on rank advancements. And hopefully, as you've been writing your goals out, and as you've been planning and strategizing to build your business, and as you've started that process, rank advancements have been integral in that strategy and in that vision. I want to talk about one particular aspect of rank advancements that either may be a surprise, may not be a surprise, but may need perhaps a strong reminder. And again, as always, I do strive to pull on these subjects from conversations that I've had either in mentoring calls or one-on-ones throughout the course of the week, so that there is current relevance to the message. And often this is what happens. I'll have these conversations one-on-one with people. Sometimes a theme or a subject tends to pop up throughout the week, and it happens with a few calls and a few people that I speak with. And it just seems to be one of those subjects where you go, you know what, this is a wider audience subject. And to me today is one of those wider audience subjects. I want to talk about a particular aspect of being a mentor to people that we're striving to help rank advance. Each of us on the call today, as we know, this has been set as a leadership call, but my view of leaders is not based on rank, it's based on activity and mindset. That's how I define a leader, based on what we do and how we think and how we approach life and our strategies, our business. So for each of us that are striving to help people rank advance, I want to ask a question. Have you found, even in developing people to the silver rank, or maybe even in getting to silver yourself, that it has been more difficult than you expected? Have you ever found that it was more complicated than you thought? Or maybe there were some extra hurdles in there or obstacles that you weren't anticipating. Maybe, even though you taught them everything they needed to know to get to silver, you got them to the meeting, you provided the training, maybe you did it face-to-face, maybe you did it 3 times over, that they still don't understand what it takes to get to silver, and you need to tell them again. Have you had that experience? Do you relate to that? And you go, why aren't they getting this? And or maybe you're just having to go through some of the motions over and over in helping people get to that critical milestone of getting to silver, achieving that first rank. Why is that? I want to touch on this. Is that normal? What is our response? What should be our response in these situations? This is the critical thing. This is the part that I want to emphasize, because for each of us in building a strong network marketing business, we need to create an environment where people can thrive and prosper. We need to create an environment where, as we've talked about many times over, there is a sense of community and a sense of belonging that people want to be associated. We certainly have that. Coming back from Salt Lake City, I was chatting to Dave just a few moments ago, and I just said just how much I loved that event in Salt Lake City. That sense of community and that feeling of being with the team is just wonderful. I'm back on the road again in a couple of days down to the south of England to be with the team down in Crawley in the south of London. And the feeling is the same there. It's just great to be with the team. It's great to be with people face to face. But the challenge is often for each of us, helping people get from point A to point B. I've seen many people in network marketing that are great at gathering customers, and they can get many customers buying products left, right, and center, and they struggle to build a network. I've seen people that are great at recruiting, and they've recruited lots and lots of people, but it tends to be the new recruiting in their team seems to be coming just from them month after month after month, and they're not growing. And if they start to get slow and tired, then what happens? The growth in their business slows and tires with them. And so we need to get that duplication, and that duplication of course occurs when we help people to rank advance. Now, Michelle has just said here, it's a learning curve, just like learning to walk. I used an example with someone today that it's like learning to play music. If you pull out a piece of sheet music, put it in front of your piano, when you first sit down to play, you don't know that music and you cannot play it. So how can you get from not being able to play it to playing it and to mastering that piece? You actually play the music when you don't know how to play it. That's quite obscure, that, isn't it? You actually have to practice and play it whilst you don't know in order to learn how to do it. So definitely practice becomes a critical part of this process. But I wanted to emphasize one point. And before I do it, I'll share this quote. I like this message from Thomas Edison. He said, if I find 10,000 ways something won't work, I haven't failed. I'm not discouraged, because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward. And of course the question arises, what would have happened if he'd have given up on his 10th time, or even on his 9,999th time? We wouldn't have had the light bulb, would we? But I don't want to focus on that, because that particular message is one that we've often heard many times over. Don't quit, don't give up, keep on trying, don't get discouraged, so on and so forth. The part that I want to focus on is twofold. One, I want to emphasize that in order to help people rank advanced to silver, and we will find to rank advanced to gold, and if you're a diamond, to help people rank advanced to platinum, and if you're a royal diamond, helping people rank advanced to diamond, you will find that there is an awful lot of hand-holding that is required, an awful lot of nurturing, an awful lot of nursing, caring, supporting, and so on. It is a team effort, and what I have found is anyone that has ranked advanced to silver has typically done so because they've had a very close and very engaged upline. It's not often something that they do independently by themselves. I've not seen anyone get to gold or to platinum by themselves either, or likewise to diamond or to royal diamond. It always seems to be a collective effort of sustained application. But the part that I want to emphasize is this word discouragement, because I've had a few conversations of late with some people that are working really hard, doing their very best to work with their teams to help them grow. They've got great people in their business, but they're not always doing what they want them to do, or what they have agreed to do, what they committed to do. And that can cause the upline person, the sponsor, to feel a little discouraged. So I want to touch on that today and discuss, what do we do as leaders, as people that are mentoring others, that are helping others to rank advanced to silver or to gold, or maybe get those people moving along. What do we do if we get discouraged? Because I want to first assure you, and I do find it important to emphasize this, because I love the truth laid out as it is. To me, that is motivating, that is encouraging, and it's very reassuring. I want to reassure you that if you've got someone that has made commitments to go silver and they're struggling to keep their commitments, and you're feeling a little bit perplexed or frustrated, that you are not alone, that it is not unique. I want to emphasize that. It is not unique to Nikan. I am thrilled that I can be in this position now in the field, where I've had the privilege historically to have had a bird's eye view in multi-billion-dollar network marketing companies on the inside, where I can see the real numbers, not the talk, not the hype and spin, not the make-believe, but the real deal. Yeah. And I can tell you, in every company that I've worked in, that there are people in every rank struggling to help their downlines rank advance. That people make the commitments, make the promises, give the assurances, and things get in the way. Maybe life, maybe their own discouragement, maybe their own self-conviction or lack of self-belief or what have you can interfere with helping them get to where they need to go. But if we don't have that bird's eye view, what I've also seen is the sponsor gets discouraged because they think that their challenge is unique. What am I doing wrong? Am I not mentoring right? Am I not leading my team correctly? Because I hear all these other success stories and maybe I'm not experiencing that for myself. I must be invalid. The flaw must be with me. Yeah. So I want to emphasize the flaw is not with you. Okay. It is a natural part of the process in mentoring and coaching people to move forward, that there are barriers, that there are holdups, that there are blockages in the flow of where we want to get people to, and that's okay. And there is a consequence that comes. And I want to address that consequence of discouragement. So if you are feeling a little discouraged, or if you have felt it, or if there's someone in your team that you know is feeling a little discouraged, I want this message to be for you. I want it to be for them. I want you to share it with them, because even at the highest levels, I believe, of leadership, people get discouraged. I just watched this film, loved the film, The Darkest Hour, with Gary Oldman portraying Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, I believe, is famously known as being one of Great Britain's greatest prime ministers. Certainly one of the most quoted. He was a great wordsmith. And this film depicts him wonderfully in some of the darkest hours of World War II. And this wonderful, magnificent leader had to climb fiercely uphill against the odds because he had his own cabinet, his own party fighting against him, not wanting him to make the decisions that he was making. So he had the opposition party and his own party fighting against him. He was a lone man making very big decisions with the lives of others in his hands. But you sure saw in that journey how he could get discouraged and struggled and battled with some of the choices that he had to make, and some of the way his party was going, the way his leadership was being received. There was discouragement even at the level of Winston Churchill type leadership. So again, reassurance number 2. Reassurance number 1, to reiterate, if you've got members of your team that are not going at the pace that they committed to, the flaw does not lie with you. You are not unique. This happens everywhere. We need to learn how to adapt and how to respond to it so that we manage our time well and use it wisely, so that we don't just throw our time into thin air and find it wasted or neglected or abused. Point number 2 for reassurance, that regardless of the level of leadership that you're at, regardless of rank, that discouragement from time to time is both natural and human and appropriate. Yeah. So that's okay. So if you do feel that, again, don't internalize, don't beat yourself up and say, what kind of leader am I? I'm feeling discouraged right now. Maybe I need to do X, Y, and Z, which is, a wrong course of action to respond to this and be more authentic. It's human nature to get discouraged, particularly if things are not going as we expect. I want to break the word discouragement down just a little bit. I think you all know that I love words, and I love the meanings of words, kind of linguistics and what have you. So let's break discouragement down into the 3 parts that it has. The prefix dis. The prefix dis is a root word that denotes a sense of failure. Discourage, disdain, destroy, destruct. It all leads to a sense of failure. Courage, that middle section of the word, comes from the French word coeur, which means heart. I like that, isn't it? That's nice, that, isn't it? The word courage comes from the French word meaning heart, and meant turns the noun into a verb, into an action, making it something that we act upon. So when we add the dis to your courage, it implies that we've withdrawn our heart energy. Now that feeling starts to take over, and our heart gets sapped of its power, and that connection kind of propels us forward into a weakened state. So it's interesting, isn't it, that if our heart power gets compromised as we move forward, we're weakened as a result. We're no longer engaging the flow of our heart that keeps us moving and keeps us constantly pushing forward with a sense of momentum. Instead, the undermining voice that bombards us with statements like, I am never going to achieve this. This is never going to happen. I'm never going to get this or that done. This will never work. What's wrong with me? I might as well give up. At this point, the statement becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and we start to build on our projected failures. So I think it's important that we learn to fight against or respond in a healthy way to this sense of discouragement that can come our way. So what do we do? I want to share 6 things that we can do that can help us deal with this discouragement, this weakening of the heart, this sense of failure that we get internally that weakens us as we move forward. Step number 1 is I want us to see it as it is. In the moment that we sense we're feeling discouraged, I think we need to realize that is what it is and see it for what it is. So as soon as we feel that emotion, we want to acknowledge it and see it. The next thing we want to do is we want to name it. This is really important. I think this is empowering for us if we do that. Now that we recognize the emotion and we have that feeling, we know what it is. If we admit what it is and we call it by its name and we say the word discouragement, when we give that name to the negative emotion, it loosens its hold on us. And it can, and it gives us a chance to take a greater sense of authority over it, which is great. And I think that's really important, don't you? That if we haven't named it, if we don't know what we're feeling, we just have that murky, horrible feeling inside, then we just don't know how to respond more often than not. And that feeling tends to drive our actions and our behaviors. But if we can name it and we can identify it, take hold of that, then we start to claim some of the power back. Step number 3 is we accept it for what it is. We don't need to resist it. We don't need to judge it. We just see it for what it is. So we feel it. We acknowledge it. When we feel it, we name it. We accept it. I find, I'm not sure about you, but sometimes when I've had these negative feelings, one of the first things I try to do is eliminate it. And often in the attempt to eliminate it, I'm trying to do something that isn't always humanly possible. And that can only increase the stress and increase the power that that negative emotion has over me, and it makes it worse, not better. So don't try to eliminate the negative emotion. Name it and accept it. Embrace it for what it is. The 4th thing to do is talk it out. Find a person that you feel comfortable with, someone that knows you, someone that is working with you in the business. It might be a business partner, it might be an upline, it might be a crossline, it might be a team member in your downline that you've teamed up with, you partnered with. Talk it out with them. Share your feelings so that you can release, because what I've found is in that space where you start to share, this is where you allow that negative feeling to get released and give you some of that strength and courage back. One of the things that I've found as well in talking about things is what it also does is it helps us put things in proper perspective. If things are only kept up in my own mind, as brilliant as I might think my mind is from time to time, it can get pretty messed up. And when I've got these negative feelings, it can skewer the truth really well, can't it? So by talking it out with someone else that is a little more detached from the situation or isn't feeling that emotion, you might get just a little better perspective on things that is helpful. If they're sharing that sense of discouragement, you want to find someone else that is going to give you the right perspective. Yeah. What you don't want to do is gather around yourself a team of people that are filled with that same emotion, because all you do is you pull everyone down into a sinkhole and you kill the whole thing. I've seen that done before, and it never ends favorably for anyone. So the 5th thing to do after you've done the talking, and this is really nice, and this is where Nikan can really be a great support for us, is the fastest way to get your heart back to where it should be is to extend yourself and to give someone something else that they might need. So step number 5, help someone else. That is what gives us the chance to bring the power back into our heart. Remember, dis meaning, it's going towards a state of injury, brokenness. Courage is where the heart energy is felt. Ment is the action. So we're reversing that action by applying the heart back into our business, back into our own being, by doing some good for someone else. And as we do that, we can reverse the effects of the discouragement, and we get the opposite. And I think that's really good. And it doesn't need to be grandiose. This is the thing. And often we can feel maybe swamped in an emotion, but doing a little good can go a long way in helping us feel wonderfully better. So I think it's important to recognize we've got opportunities around us all the time to do kind acts of service, to get that courage, that positive, heartfelt energy back into our heart, back into our being, back into our business. And then the sixth point, the final point, let it go. I'm not going to sing the song from Frozen. We have that on plenty of times in my house with my little ones. I'm not going to sing that, but it's an important principle. Now that we've helped someone else, we can realize, hopefully, that we ourselves are bigger than the emotion that we felt. That being the case, we can let it go and focus on the bigger vision, and bring ourselves to a higher place of being. When we have these negative feelings, sometimes if we feel stuck and we feel trapped, we don't know where to go with it. And we can feel like that emotion is bigger than us, especially if we're feeling we've got nowhere to go. But if we've been able to talk it out, name it, identify it, talk it out, and then go out there and do something to reverse it by serving someone else, we liberate ourselves from that emotion. We're strengthened, we're emboldened, we've got more courage, and then we can let go. Then we can now focus on the reasons to have confidence, the reasons to have hope, the reasons to have conviction. And like I said, if we can have that assurance that as we're building people, that takes time. Paradigms, rank advancements are the fruit of building people, aren't they? It's not too often that someone can just go in there and become a silver overnight. Does it happen? Yes. And there are modern, current, present-day examples of that happening in our business right now. However, they are not always the norm. The norm is it takes a bit of time, it takes a bit of effort. We love the stories of the people that do it overnight. It excites us, it motivates us. We love to hear the overnight successes, but more often than not, there's, I heard a good friend of mine say, there's typically 10 years behind the overnight success. There's a lot of effort and work and toil and struggle that's gone on behind the scenes that we don't always realize that makes that person the overnight success that we see. There's always a different story, isn't there? So today, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to share some thoughts from some of the coaching sessions that I've had this past week, that if you're working with people with the effort and the combined goal, the shared goal to help them rank advance, that it's okay if that's taking time. You're not alone. Don't personalize the problem. Don't personify it, I should say. Don't personify it. We are not the problem. It is commonplace. We need to identify the solutions. Now, as we don't personify it, what I'm not saying is that we embrace it and say, that's fine, take your time. Let's take our goals and morph them into something less compelling. I'm not suggesting that we lower the bar. I heard someone once say, the only time I lower the bar is when I'm doing the limbo. And I kind of like that. I thought that was kind of funny. But either way, the bar is set high, isn't it? But what we want to do is make sure that our standards remain tall, strong, our goals remain fixed, and that we work towards achieving our goals. And if we find times where we're not quite hitting them, that we explore them, we try to understand them, we discuss it with someone that is a trusted advisor or friend that can give us counsel and perspective. If we're getting discouraged, don't internalize it. Let it out, talk about it, and let's find a way to move forward. I want you to know that we can all help people move forward if we do it together. What we're all experiencing is the nature of life. It's the nature of business. It's the nature of leadership. It's the nature of personal development. And it's human nature to have some of these tough times, tough feelings, as well as some of the positive. So I hope this has been helpful and instructive today. I hope it's come at a good time. I've had a couple of private messages with people saying this has come at the right time for them. Thank you. Thank you. And please know that you've got field leaders here that are available, anxious and ready to reach out to help at those critical times when you need an arm stretched out. Our arms are stretched right back out to yours. Okay, so grab on, latch on, and let's work together. And thank you very much. Let's go out there and rank advance people as much as we possibly can. Take care, everyone, and have a great week.